Today, I've got a job to do, and I'm making another economy bowl, but this one's going to have a contrasting layer in between each layer. And the wood that I've chosen for this is mahogany and pecan, good spalted pecan. So what I've done is I've been wearing my bandsaw out this morning, been doing a lot of resawing, but I had this mahogany. It was about 2.5 inches thick, and I've resawed it down in half, and that's what I'm going to use for most of this bowl. Then I have this pecan, which I'm going to put between the layers and hopefully add some nice contrast. And then I've got this piece of pecan that I'm going to use for the base. It's about 3/4 inches thick. It's 6 inches by 6 inches. But I've got it all bandsawed down, roughly the same thicknesses and all that. And I'm about to put it on the sander and get this thing started. I've got to get all my thicknesses very uniform so I can get this thing started out right. I'll get it started out right first, and you don't have to worry about anything later. But if everything don't stay going right, then everything starts compounding on you, and it just doesn't turn out right at the end. So each step that you do, make sure that everything ends up the way you want it before you move on to the next one. So anyway, we're going to get started. We're going to take these parts over to the sander, and we're going to start making them uniform. Alright, let's get it going. Okay, to start out with, I'm just going to start with a mahogany. Alright, now, all I'm wanting to do, first of all, is to get a nice flat surface. Okay, I want to get one flat surface on both sides, on both pieces of wood, and then I'm going to roll it over, and I'm going to flatten this side parallel with the original side. And at the same time, I'm going to be sending them both through together, and to keep my thickness uniform. So anyway, we're going to get started on that right now, and see how she does. Keep on until I get one flat surface on both of these parts. Raising it a little bit each time. I'll be back when I get ready to when I get ready to parallel the other side. Alright. Now, got two sides, nice and flat. Now I've just got to flip them over and get the back side parallel with it and keep these uniform thickness. The thickness is the same right now, but I've got new marks here all over the whole thing. Once those marks are gone, I know that these things are flat. So here we go again. Alright. I got everything milled up the way I want it. I've got my 2 pieces of mahogany right here, and they will go together like this. And to get my transition rings, these are going to go just like this on the top. And I've got to glue them down. But what I've done so far was I had a 2.5 inch piece of mahogany. It was 2.5 inches thick. I took it over to the bandsaw, resawed it in half, and I lined up the grain the way I want it to go, and I made a little carpenter's triangle right there, so I know I can keep them oriented the way I want them. So anyway, these I got them the same thickness. Both places are parallel to each other. So the next thing I've got to do is glue these panels on, and they'll glue on just like this, and I'll clamp them together, and then I'll come back. It doesn't have to be perfect yet, because I'm going to come back and I'm going to run this edge right here down the joiner, because these things have to fit together perfectly together at 90 degrees here, just like this. Now this piece here came from 2 separate pieces of wood. The spalting lines up fairly well. Alright, well, I'm just going to get busy and get started gluing these things up. And all I'm going to do is just use my tight bond and spread it, spread it real good here. Come back with a little putty knife and just spread it out really well. The glue that I always use for bowls, well, for just about everything, is the tight bond too. I like it because it's water resistant. It's not waterproof, but I mean it's good enough to work for like cutting boards and everything else, where, you know, it may see a little water, but it's not going to see too much. But I do like the tight bond too. It sets up fairly quick. It's easy glue to work with. You generally have time to work with it before it starts setting up too much. And then I'll use a caul on the top here to buckle everything down. Just going to use a couple C-clamps. Alright. Okay, looking pretty good. I'm just gonna put clamps all the way around the edges now. Alright, I got her all clamped up now. You see, I've got it clamped in the middle with the 2x4 and all the way around the edges real well. Okay, well, I'm going to clean my saw up now, and I'll be back shortly. Alright, well, I've got my boards here. I'm just going to joint these edges. Two sides that I want to put together here. Those are the spaces that I'm going to joint. Alright, well, this got my 2 pieces together here, and Their thickness is, I mean, it's just, it's almost perfect. So now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to flip it over, take the bottoms up, just going to put a piece of tape down the bottom to hold it in place while I get this thing laid out. And all this is going to do is just kind of hold my pieces together while I get it laid out. Okay, I'm dead on 1 foot across here. Now I've got a little bit of overhang, but when I cut my 45s, it'll cut that right out. So I'm dead on 6 inches in the center here. And here, I'm going to measure out 1 foot, taking it out of the center, and I'm going to put my center mark right here. So I'm going to cut 1 foot out of this. I'll do that with my Dremel, and all I'll do is I'm going to lay it out. I'm about 1 1/4 inches thick. Well, actually, it's about 1 5/16 inches. But I'm going to start out. I'm going to come in about 1 1/4 inches on each one. Okay. Set up my Dremel. Draw out my circles. Alright, well, now I'm just going to start cutting my circles out. I've come onto the bandsaw and I've lopped the corners off because they want to hit up under the bottom side of my bandsaw here. So it just makes it easier. I'm going to come in here as square as I can and start cutting these circles out. I'll cut every one of them. I'll cut every one of them out, just like that. Alright, well, got all my little half circles cut. Now I'm just going to start gluing them up. And that's just going to involve just gluing the edges just like this. And then I'll move them to another place and let them dry. Alright. Good amount of glue. Don't slack on the glue. And don't allow your fuzzies to get in between them either. If they do, it'll create problems with gaps. Alright. Let's put them together. Alright, now for clamping, it's going to go across the top. Being very careful because they will fold up. Okay, so they do want to fold up with you. So what I'll do is I'll put weight on them. I'm going to move it to another place so I can sit it nice and flat, and then I'll put a weight on it to hold everything straight until the glue gets set up good. Make sure everything is flush when you do. Alright. Okay, well, I'm just going to move this one, and I'll come back and do the next one after I get this weighted down. Alright, well, I'll just proceed on and just keep gluing each one of these up. Make sure that they sit flat as the glue cures. Because if you don't, then these rings won't line up just right whenever you go to put your bowl together. Alright. Got everything's glued up. All the rings are glued together. Nice and good tight glue joints. But what I've done also, when I was laying this thing out, I have my center marks here where they're glued together. I made right angle marks going through the center here. That helps me get it lined back up once I get this thing put back together. And basically I just transferred those marks up the side here, so I line up right here with the cracks between the boards. I line these up, and then that'll help me get this thing glued back together, centered up really well. I drew me a little triangle right here, maybe you can see. This will help me keep the orientation correct. So when I glue this back together, if the triangle forms on one side, then I'm good. If one of them's turned the wrong way, then the triangle's not complete. I know it's not right. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. I know that's the orientation that it has to be. So what I need to do now is get all of these surfaces dead flat. I'm just going to draw pencil marks all around the flat surfaces, and I'm going to put them back on my sander. I'm going to run them through there until my pencil marks are gone. When the pencil marks are gone, then I know that I'm good and flat. Okay. Alright, well, I've got all my pieces here. We're just going to get started on them. Turn on my vacuum. Take the plastic. Okay, basically what I'm looking at here is that I want this piece here to be my bottom piece. And I want to try to get a lot of that spalting in it. The good thing is, it's like a window. I can look around here and see however I want to match this up. And I believe I'm going to leave it just about like that, so that I can have that little spot right there in the middle. Just going to draw me a little circle here. Draw me a circle around the bottom. Alright. Now then, I'll take this over to the bandsaw and I'll cut that out, and I'll get it. I'm going to mount my waste block up in the face plate, or on the face plate, mount it on the lathe, true all of this up so that I can get this mounted on the lathe. Alright, well, now I've got my waste block. It's mounted on my face plate. And I've got my bottom piece. I've cut it out on the bandsaw into a circle. So now I've got my center mark marked. I'll bring this up and center it on that piece. Nice and flat. I'm just going to draw a circle all the way around. That way I know where to put my glue. I'll back this up just a touch. I'll put my glue inside this circle. Now this is concave here, so I only need glue for about an inch inside here. And that's what I'm going to do now. Fair amount of glue. Just going to kind of wrap it around just a little bit. Now this piece here I trued up at the very beginning on my sander, on my drum sander. So give me some good clamping pressure here. Kind of wiggle it around just a little bit. Good clamping pressure. Alright, well, I'm going to have to wait for this to dry up before I start gluing the bowl on, because I'm going to glue this on with the bowl when I do the bowl. Alright, I'm just getting ready to start gluing her up now. Okay, so basically what I'm looking at, I've got my triangle there, I've got my marks here, and I've got my glue marks. Alright, so I want to make sure there's no dust in between here. So I start my glue up. Okay, now what I'm looking for is lining up the triangle, lining up these marks on both sides, and lining up this center glue mark, which that is probably the most critical, because you'll actually see that in the finished bowl if you don't have that lined up properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start putting glue on here. Very liberally. I believe in using a lot of glue on this stuff. I'll just smear it around. Okay, make sure you cover the whole surface. Find my little triangle here. There it is. Alright. Get that glue off my fingers. Alright, start lining everything up. Wiggle it around. Move that glue around real good in there. Everything lined up good. Okay. Now, that's just about as centered as I can get it. Okay. Now, find all my marks. Line them up on the cracks. Line them up on the sides. Okay, well, if you don't have a press or some way to really clamp this up, here's another alternative, and it actually works very well. Gives you a lot of good clamping pressure, but basically you start out with a couple of cawls and a band clamp, or you could even use a ratchet strap. So anyway, just going to start tightening this up. Making sure that this thing stays fairly even. Your clamp or your band has to go right across the top, right in the middle, to add the pressure that you really need. And I'll do this. And that'll give me really good pressure on that. And you can see how it's squeezing that glue out now. Okay. Everything's good. Everything's good and tight. And we are good to go. Alright, well, I've got to work tomorrow, so this will stay clamped up for a couple of days, just like it is, and it'll be ready to go when I get home in a couple of days. Alright, this thing's been glued and clamped up for a couple of days now. Probably, yeah, almost 2 days. This glue's good and cured really well. Now I'm just going to start cleaning this out on the inside. I'm going to start taking out all this glue and stuff, and just get a nice smooth surface on the inside, and then I'll do the same on the outside. Then I'll start shaping. I'm about 1 inch thick all the way down, so I've got a little bit of room I can shape with. And we're just going to get started doing that now. To the back side now. In at the top, in at the bottom. Alright, so now I'll come in here. I've already got it roughed out. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to match this profile on the back side. I'm going to match it with the front. Alright, well, I'm just going to start out with some power sanding. We'll start out with 80 grit on the power sanding, and I'll probably go ahead and do 100 grit also. But normally, I'll just do all my heavy sanding with a drill. But here we go. 400 grit. Now I'm just going to put on a couple coats of tung oil. That'll bring out the colors a little bit. And it'll also kind of raise the grain. And I'll go back with my last grit, which was 400, and re-sand once this is cured up. Alright, well, I've got two coats of tung oil in here, and once it cured up, I've sanded back. I went 320, went 400 again, and now you can see how the tung oil's brought the color out. Well, now I'm just gonna use a paste wax for finishing up. Let's see how that goes. Well, I'll be buffing this out in a few minutes, and I'll be right back. Alright, let's try to get this buffing done. I've got 2 coats on here already. See what we got. Wow, I like it. I like it a lot. Alright, well, I'm going to hook up the vacuum truck and take this tenon off. Alright, well, I cut my waste block off with a hacksaw, and now I'm just going to start shaping the bottom. I'm going to thin this up to about here, and I'm going to concave into the bottom, and we'll see what we get. And it's a vacuum chuck, so you don't want to put too much torque on it. Be careful. Don't want to get a catch. And I'll finish the bottom the same way. I'll sand the 400 grit. I may not use the tung oil on the very bottom, but I'll sand to a wax. back in a few minutes. Once I get this foot finished, and I'll show you the end. Well, so there's another economy bowl. I really like doing these things. It's a good challenge there. Getting all your glue joints good and tight is a feat. But you can do it. I end up having to use my drum sander to get it done, whereas the thickness planer would definitely be a better choice, because I can spend hours over here sanding, or I can spend a few minutes cleaning. But I just acquired a planer. It just needs a little bit of work, and I'll have me a planer. So anyway, the reason I call them economy bowls is because you make them from a board, and it takes about 25% of the wood that it would normally take to make a bowl this size. This is about a 12-inch bowl all the way across. It's about 5 inches tall. So a solid wood blank would be at least 12 by probably 5.5 inches tall. Big, heavy piece of wood spinning around in the lathe, and most of it ends up in the floor as shavings or whatever. On these economy bowls, there's very little waste, and they look nice when you get done. But anyway, I first saw these from Bob Hamilton. That was the first one I saw done, and I was just amazed how he could get a big, deep bowl from just a board. So anyway, this is mine, and I like it. They're really fun to do. But I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and I'll see y'all on down the road.